The first presidential tweet of the day, great win in Kansas last night for Ron Estes, easily winning the congressional race against the Dems, who spent heavily in predicted victory. There's only one thing that is factually accurate in that. Republican Ron Estes, the Kansas state treasurer, did indeed beat Democrat James Thompson in a special election to fill the open seat of now CIA Director Mike Pompeo. But it was not a great win, and it didn't happen easily, and the Dems definitely didn't spend heavily or predict victory. Back in November, Trump won that district by nearly 27 points. Pompeo won his re-election bid by more than 30 points. It should have been an extremely safe Republican seat. So safe that, according to the Democratic candidate, Thompson, the National Party stayed away because they had concluded early on he couldn't win. In fact, as the New York Times points out, only on Monday, when it became clear the race was being seriously contested, did House Democrats announce they were spending money on a late wave of get-out-the-vote calls. Whereas national Republicans spent about $150,000 on the race. Republican Estes ended up winning by roughly 8,000 votes, about 7 percentage points, 20 points less than Trump's victory just 5 months ago. Another Republican seat is up for grabs next week, the seat formerly belonging to Trump's Health and Human Services Secretary Tom Price in Georgia. A candidate has to get 50% to avoid a runoff. Right now, the Democrats polling in the 40s. Current Georgia Congressman John Lewis and his congressional colleague Eric Swalwell were in Atlanta today. They told me there's lots of enthusiasm for next Tuesday's election.
Georgia is the right place to be right now. I'm here with Congressman Lewis to reach out and talk to millennials, learning from someone who has organized and continues to organize. But we have an opportunity just next week with Jon Ossoff in Georgia's 6th Congressional District. And the energy I saw in the room today as we talked to a lot of young people is that they want to be heard and that they see an opportunity here in Georgia to put us closer to being in a position where we can extend more opportunity to more people. And so that yesterday, I think, really gives us inspiration that next Tuesday we can make some real progress.
Congressman Lewis, as the other congressman was saying, you've been organizing and working in politics for decades. And the Democrats have had this problem, 08, 10, 12, 14, 16. They've had problems with midterm elections, particularly with younger voters who show up in presidentials and don't in midterms. Do you feel like you've gained some insight into what the switch is that gets them excited and activated?
Well, I think more than anything else, what happened in November of last year had turned the switch on. People prepared, ready, they're fired up, they're ready to go, they're ready to organize, they're unorganized, to mobilize people to turn out and vote like we never voted before.
Congressman Swalwell, fill in this blank for a tweet-length version of what the Democratic message is right now in a place like Georgia. And obviously, there's geographic differences. Every district's different. They have their own issues. But you should come out and vote to elect the Democrats in the House because blank.
We're going to extend more opportunity to more people and more places. And right now, our party is uniting, we're resisting, and we're going to reclaim our country.
What is your version of that message, Congressman Lewis?
It is very simple. I think Eric is right. There's some people saying, you know, I'm a little nervous, I don't know what to do, but we're saying, don't be nervous. Don't get lost in a sea of despair. Keep the faith. Get up. Get out there. Be bold. Be courageous. And do a job. And do it well.
Congressman, what would you say to someone who's considering right now? There's been a lot of folks talking about recruitment, and not just at the level of Congress, but all sorts of levels of office. And I've seen a lot of people, particularly after the election, feeling like maybe this is something I should do. You're relatively young right now. What would you say to someone who is relatively young who's thinking about whether they should run for office?
Right now, we need you, and it may not be running for Congress, but it could be, you know, I started out on a local arts commission. It could be on a city council. It also could be just organizing your neighbors to write to your representative about an issue that you care about, or volunteering for an organization that is actually reaching out and helping people on the issues that really move you. So there's so many ways to do it, but, you know, Chris, at the end of the day, all of the streams need to flow to the same body of water, and that's the ballot box. box. So we need to move people to the ballot box.
And Congressman Lewis, having served in Congress as long as you have, it's interesting to me to think about wave elections because there's been a few, and you've been on the right side and the wrong side of different wave elections in the time you served. Do you feel like you've developed some sort of sense for when a wave is coalescing, whether in the favor of the party you're in or against it?
Well, during the past few days and few weeks, I traveled all across America. I can feel it. I can feel it. I almost can touch it. The American people are ready. They're ready for change. I think we're going to have a great and good and extraordinary election in 2018.
My thanks to Congressman John Lewis and Eric Swalwell. Up next, Senator Bernie Sanders joins me right after this break.